Can we hit 1 million damage without the use of Acheron's signature light cone, any Eidolons, or any 5-star buffing characters? Well, that's what we're going to do with this team comp of Yukong, Pela, and Welt. Now, I guess Welt technically is a 5-star, although he's a standard character, and also his only purpose, besides his 12% vulnerability from his ult, is just to be a nihility character that helps us sustain a little bit, which mainly leaves us open to run a Harmony character in the roster, which is going to be Yukong, which is going to allow us to get some massive nuke potential from our ults. Now, we are going to debuff them all the way, so we are going to get every form of defense, shred, and vulnerability, and every stack imaginable. Right now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get the enemy past 6 stacks, because Acheron is already at 9, so we are going to be having a little bit of a damage drop-off from that. However, even with 6 stacks of Crimson Knot, we still deal 1 million damage. That's good night and sleep well. 1 million damage, Acheron. Now, given it was 5 targets, so a little bit less targets, it would have been, you know, a little bit less, but the enemies essentially still died. So very, very close to dying. Now we'll just build up some energy for the next wave. Ideally, we would prefer to have Welt's and Yukong's ult up for the first action that everybody gets, so that way we can deal the majority of our damage before Yanqing goes into his other mode. But if he does go into his sword mode, then it is fine. Now here, we'll just have to skill and then pray we get hit. Unfortunately, even 1 hit probably isn't going to put us in range for Welt's ult, so we are going to have to be delayed a little bit, which is unfortunate because then we're going to actually lose out on the damage buff that Bronya's Light Cone gives to Acheron, since Yukong used her skill. And now, since we don't have Welt's ult up, we don't get the damage bonus from that, but because we're only 4 energy away from Yukong's ult, 2 actions will actually get us the ult. So we can actually ult and then skill, and then ult with Acheron. Problem is I was a little bit slow, and I actually let the sword go before using Acheron's ult. So that means that what's going to happen right now is we no longer have the 30% damage bonus from Bronya's Light Cone on Acheron. So I actually have to change up what I was going to do a little bit, and instead we're just going to go for the Welt play. And now in the middle of Yanqing's action, we're going to use Welt to then stun him, get his action pushed all the way back, and now we'll use Acheron's ult. So now the resolution debuff on Yanqing actually shouldn't disappear. It should stay there. And on top of that, we are fully buffed with the exception of not having that 30% damage from Bronya's Light Cone. And nice, 880 against 4 enemy targets is pretty good. Pretty damn good. And now we'll just build up some stacks. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so the whole point that we're just, you know, building up stacks right now for the eventual ult that will kill him before he even goes. Perfect. So that way, like, even though we had double resolution, it didn't matter because they already had resolution. But there it is, 9 stacks. Still have the buff from her last ult. Wonderful. So let's get into the builds and see how the team was comprised. I think this crit ratio is actually pretty good for an Acheron without her signature light cone. She is going to get 4 extra % crit rate from her relic sets, so this 76 does turn into 80, and then her crit damage is relatively good as well. 165 could be a little higher though. Could be a little higher. As for the good night and sleep well, that's what we got on this run, right? And then the relic set is going to give us a little bit more crit rate, a little bit more crit damage. And as for Rutilant, I just can't farm the Azumo piece at all. It's terrible, terrible luck, and I don't have any Salsodo. Yukong is going to be right behind Acheron in terms of speed. That's pretty much it. Pela is going to be right in the middle, right? And then everybody's going to be on Broken Keel, just for, you know, universal crit damage to Acheron. Beautiful. And then Wealth is just going to have a ton of effect hit rate, ton of speed, and ton of energy regen. And that's it. And his Eidolons don't actually help the team too much because it's just the energy that he gains for himself. And as long as you give him a lot of effect hit rate, then overall it doesn't matter too much. So that is the Acheron 1 million damage run. Thanks for watching. Any suggestions, leave it in the comments, like the video, and adios.